Tribe, welcome to Kick Your Asana. It's Alicia. I'm going to be guiding you through our quick but intense little practice here today. So if you've not already grabbed your mat, go ahead and get set up and we will go ahead and get right into it. So let's warm up the spine a little bit first, coming into tabletop position and preparing for cat-cow. Spreading the fingers nice and wide on the mat. Wrists under the shoulders, knees under the hips. Bringing the navel in toward the spine, neutral neck. As you inhale, lifting the hips, reaching the belly down towards the mat, looking up. And exhale, tuck the pelvis under, lifting the rib cage toward the ceiling. Release the crown of the head down towards the mat. Continuing with your own breath, moving at your own pace. Once you've moved all the way into each posture, try to find a little bit more space. So pressing away from the mat. Connecting our breath with our movement. We'll take one more round. And bring it back to tabletop position. Rock the hips side to side just for a moment here. Tucking the toes, sending the hips up, pressing back into downward facing dog. Spreading the fingers nice and wide on the mat, allow the head to hang heavy. Keeping the core active here, bring that navel in toward the spine as we lift with the rib cage, trying to create space in between each and every vertebrae in the spine. Activating our Ujjayi breathing or ocean breath, if you haven't already. Look between the hands, inhale up onto the balls of the feet, and we're gonna walk it forward into our forward fold. Allow the upper body to hang heavy, getting a nice stretch into the backs of the legs, allowing gravity to do the work for us here. So there's not much effort involved, right? We're just allowing ourselves to melt into the pose. Bending into the knees, release the chest down on top of the thighs, and then we'll roll it up to standing. All right. From here, inhale the arms up, send the hips back into Utkatasana chair pose. Again, keeping the navel pulled in toward the spine. And then fold forward. Straightening into the legs. Step the right foot back, drop it down into a lunge. Opening up into the front of the right hip. Find some movement here, create some space. Take a little rock front to back. And then kick that back foot in, drop the heel, straighten the front leg, coming into pyramid pose. Reaching forward with the chest and the chin, trying to keep the spine nice and straight here. The goal is to reach the chin toward the toes, right? That's gonna help us keep the spine straight. We'll bring the left hand to the inside of the left foot, turn the back toes 90 degrees, and then open it up for triangle pose. Pressing the hips forward, pressing the torso back, maybe turning and looking up at the right hand. Opening up into the right hip, outer hip area, right? All right. Bending into the left knee, Widen your stance a little bit as we sweep the right arm through for extended side angle. If you need to modify here, you can bring the forearm to the thigh. Find what feels good. We're creating a diagonal line all the way from our fingertips to the outer edge of the foot. Pressing the hips forward. Exhale, sending it up into warrior two. Good, one more breath here. And then straighten the legs. Turning the toes both toward the side of the mat. Inhale, lengthening in the spine. And then exhale, hinging at the hips, coming into your wide-legged forward fold. Releasing the hands down to the mat, fingertips in line with the toes. Keep the elbows in, nice and tight, chaturanga style. Again, reaching forward with the chin, not so much with the top of the head, because we want to press the chest forward, opening up through the heart center, keeping the spine extended. Good, pressing ourselves back up halfway. Hands come to the hips. Exhale, send it all the way up. Turning the right toes towards the back of the mat. Bring the arms out, drop it down into your warrior two. Taking one more inhale here. As we exhale, release that right hand down. Sweep the left arm through for extended side angle. Again, pressing the hips forward. You should feel a nice little opening into the outside of the hip here. Stretching into the side body. Good. Straightening that right leg. If you need to shorten the stance, you can bring the foot in a little bit, keeping the hand down here. Bringing the left arm up, turning, and bringing your gaze up to that left hand. Staying lifted with the ribs. Left hand comes down to the mat. Square the hips. Shorten the stance a little bit more if you need to as we come into pyramid pose. Energetically send that right hip back and bring the left hip forward so that the hips are nice and squared to the front of the mat. Bending in to the front knee, drop it down into your lunge. Create some space in that left hip here. Find some movement. Good, hands are down on the mat. Step the right foot back into plank. Shift forward on the toes, lower down chaturanga. Elbows in nice and tight. Inhale, upward facing dog. Exhale, rolling over the tops of the feet, coming into your downward facing dog. Take a couple breaths here. Good, we're going to do the same thing, working our way back to the front of the mat. So stepping the right foot forward, again coming into the lunge. Just working our little flow here in reverse. Move a little faster with it this time. Stepping that back foot in, drop the heel, straighten the leg, pyramid. Or intense side stretch. Right hand comes to the inside of the foot, turning the back toes 90 degrees. Open it up, triangle pose. Good, bending into the right knee, sweep the arm through for extended side angle. Making sure that the knee stays stacked over the ankle. So if you need to bring that foot forward a little bit more, we don't want the knee to come out past the ankle. Exhale, press it up, warrior two. One more breath here. And then straighten into the legs. Turn the toes out 45 degrees this time as we drop it down into goddess pose. We're gonna take eagle arms while we're here. So let's bring the arms around. Go for a wrap. Lift the elbows. If the wrap isn't there, if it's not available, you can just grab opposite shoulders. Good. And release, straighten the legs, arms come up, inhale. Exhale, bring it back down, other arm. Lift the elbows. Squeeze the arms together. Feel that opening up in between the shoulder blades and the back. Good. And then release. Turning the left toes towards the front of the mat. Right toes turn 90 degrees. Take a bend at the left knee, drop it down into your warrior two. Inhale, lengthening the spine. Exhale, extended side angle. Straightening into the left leg. Right hand comes down. Again, shorten your stance here if you need to. You can heel toe that back foot in as we press ourselves up into triangle pose. Utthita Trikonasana. Good, right hand releases down to the mat. Square the hips. Shorten the stance a little bit more if you need to as we come down into pyramid pose. Bending into the front knee. Drop it down into your lunge. Good, and then the left foot will step back to meet the right as we take our vinyasa. Inhaling for upward dog. And exhaling into downward dog. All right, let's shift it forward and drop the knees. From here, we're gonna walk the hands forward on the mat. Release the chest and the chin down towards the mat, keeping the hips stacked over the knees, coming into puppy pose. Bringing your awareness back to the breath. Good, and then shift it forward, and we're gonna come all the way down onto our belly and come straight into Sphinx Pose. So the elbows are gonna be directly under the shoulders, forearms down on the mat facing forward. Keeping the core active, coming into this nice little back bend here, bottom of the chin parallel with the floor. Keeping the shoulders down and away from the ears. On your next exhale, release it down all the way, bringing the arms down at your side, palms up. Take a breath here. All right, let's come into Locust Pose. So we'll bring the chin back to the mat. Arms are down at your side, palms up. Inhale, engage the core. Exhale, pressing up. Bringing the chest and the legs up. Option to interlace the fingers behind the back, squeezing the shoulder blades together. Really lifting those legs, working that lower back, but keeping the core active and engaged to protect the lower back. One more inhale. And exhale, bring it back down. Let's press ourselves up and back into a quick child's pose to counter our back bends. So you can bring the knees and feet together on this one. Actually, we're gonna come into a passive child's pose. Arms down at your side, palms up. Rounding into the spine, compressing the ribs as you inhale. Send that breath into the lower back. Create some extra space there with the breath. And then we'll roll it up. Hello, Orion. Making our way onto our seats. From here, we're taking our peace sign fingers, grabbing onto the big toes, sealing with the thumbs on the top of the toes, right on the tip of the toenails. Create a little bit of pressure there. Start to lean back. Once you feel nice and balanced, keeping the spine extended and the chest shining forward, start to bring the legs up for upright seated angle. Now you may not be able to straighten into the legs all the way, so maybe just keeping the knees bent, that's totally fine. If you notice yourself falling backwards, it's because you've got a round in the spine. If we round the spine, we start to go back. So really focus on pressing the heart center forward. And then release the hands from the feet and come into boat pose. Still keeping that chest forward, extending in the spine. And then start to lower it down onto the mat, nice and easy. Bringing the knees into the chest, give them a hug. Maybe find a little rock side to side or front to back. All right, feet coming back down onto the mat, walking the heels in toward the sits bones. Reach the fingertips towards the heels. Inhale, engage the core. Exhale, press it up for bridge. Take any variation here you want. If you want to roll the shoulders under with fingers interlaced, or maybe reach the hands toward the ankles. Find what works for you. Keep the knees parallel with each other. So they're going to want to come out to the side. We got to energetically pull them back together, or back to parallel. And release it back down onto the mat. All right, we are going to come into a shoulder stand. And if you're not comfortable doing a shoulder stand, you don't have shoulder stand in your practice, you can just press back up into bridge pose. Okay, if you're fine with shoulder stand, you can press into it right away. Otherwise, I am going to show a little option for anybody that wants to try to feel it out. So we'll press ourselves up into bridge, and then from here, bring the hands underneath of the lower back. You may need to come up onto the toes, and then really work those elbows underneath. From here, once your lower back is supported, you can maybe lift up one leg at a time, and just start to play around with it and see how it feels. If you feel good enough to kick the legs up and come into your shoulder stand, go ahead. Otherwise, please just stay in your bridge pose. Right? So one of the big parts of yoga is just listening to your body, quieting the ego and the mind, and we'll bring it back down nice and easy. Extending the legs out onto the mat. Actually, you know what? Let's keep the knees bent just for a moment. Windshield wiper them side to side. A little bit of some twist action going on in the lower spine. Kind of wringing out any stuff that's in there right now. Detox a little bit. And we'll bring the knees back in one more time. Maybe waking your way into a happy baby. Good. And then go ahead and release the legs down. Extending them out onto the mat. Allow the feet to gently fall out to the side. Palms are out at your sides, facing up. Closing the eyes. Returning the breath back to normal. Noticing anywhere in the body that you may still be holding on to any tension. Inhale, sending your breath into that space. And then as you exhale, allow the tension to release out of the body with the breath. Slowly sinking deeper and deeper into your relaxation. Thank you so much for joining me today. It was my honor to guide you through your practice. Namaste.